Good morning, everybody. I'm Doug.
I'm Chris.
Let's talk a little bit about buying presidential votes.
No, it's a Bloomberg thing.
The Bloomberg buyout.
You're talking about what he's doing down in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see how that could be legal, paying off felons the money that they owe the courts.
Well, the legality of it doesn't bother me as much as the straight up racism of it, because you have to be black, or I think they did add Hispanic, but you cannot be white.
That's, man, you're leaving us out of the picture there, Bloomberg.
Oh, please, with your white privilege.
Yeah. And, buying votes. I mean, I'm glad that they're investigating it now.
Yes, I do agree that it's a good idea to investigate.
Because that's pretty low. The Democrats are getting desperate.
Actually, you know what's really funny to watch? Because I don't stick to one news program. I've watched CNN, I watched MSN, I watched CBS, I watched OAN, Newsmax, Pluto, all of them. And I like watching all of them because you get a different take on what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the more things are starting to come out on investigations like the Russia probes, how they turned it around and looking at the Democrats now and other probes into Hunter Biden and everything, the more you see that starting to come forward and things with that, like the new report that just came out, the more desperate they get and the more they start, whatever it takes. Don't care what it takes. Nothing.
And he's only doing it down in Florida, and it's a swing state.
Well, it's because Florida had it to where you couldn't vote if you were a convicted felon. Then they voted on it and they said, okay, you can get your votes rights back.
Mm-hmm.
And then DeSantis challenged it and said they have to pay their fines first before they have to be totally out of the system before they can get their rights back.
But if you're a convicted felon, I don't understand that law. Why would it? I know people that are convicted felons. They've done their time, but they still have that attached to them. Mm-hmm. They've lost their gun rights and they lost their voting rights.
You're supposed to.
Why in Florida is it different?
It's not really in Florida. It's different. They're actually trying to do it other places too. But you have, I think it's like a 80-90% Democrat demographic in prison, because that's who gets them their stuff. They're part of the system. They're part of the welfare system that gets them their stuff. So it's generally more the Democratic Party that everybody in there leans towards.
Buying votes. Man, you have to be desperate.
I just think it was funny because, that was always something, when I was a kid, I can remember hearing about that. Oh, if you do this crime, you'll lose your rights. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't give a shit. I don't care. Oh, the president is now, man. But, now it means something, but you make the mistake, and that's what they're doing it under. You make the mistake when you're young, and now you've got to change that.
You just hit on something. That's what I don't understand about these kids. White, black, pink, I don't care what color they are. When they're out here protesting and then rioting, and now the states are starting to get, these cities are starting to get smart, bringing in the National Guard, and then they're deputizing all their sheriffs and their city police federally. That shit sticks with you all your life. And you're only 20 to 22, to however old you are. But when you get up in age and you went through college, guess what? You want to go to work for a law firm. You can't.
Well, you got to remember something. So the demographic for most of these riots and protests are actually people that have already gone through college, gotten indoctrinated into that system of belief, and that's who's rioting. They've already got their college education, and they're under the aspect, if the Democratic Party gets in, all that's just going to go away and be expunged. They're not going to have to worry about it. They actually consider themselves heroes.
It blows my mind. I've never been locked up. I've always been the believer, Go down that right road that you're not going to sit in jail. I have
mine had
a phobia of handcuffs. Maybe that was what
trust
it was.
me, I got a phobia of handcuffs and jail, and I've been in both. So
and getting my head thumped.
That's happened a number of times too.
I've got that phobia.
Being tased sucks.
But I just to pay off people's fines for votes. Man, you got to be desperate. How much money do we know how much money he's raised?
It's something like $16 million or something like that. I think he'll pay up to $1,000 worth of fines for up to a certain degree of felony or something like that. But you have to remember, I mean, there was a riot in, I think it was Portland, the other night when they deputized him. They had somebody up there, if you signed on the dotted line, you have to stay here.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure. I didn't get the dotted line. I didn't get a piece of paper. I wasn't there. But that, to me, implies somebody's getting something.
Somebody's getting paid. And who's paying them? Follow the money. I think it was it Rand Paul that wanted it investigated, and he was sending it to his
when
Senate.
They caught him in the street because they were talking about everything. And it's funny because he's like one of the biggest proponents they have to get rid of no-knock warrants, and they're harassing him in the street, making him say her name.
Yeah,
or even for that Breonna Taylor, the last one they had, they actually caught it, but they had a whole U-Haul parked that was fully equipped with gear for them to be able to riot.
They were unloading that thing.
Yeah, and they caught
rioters were unloading.
Now, you don't know how many they didn't catch, but they did catch that one.
Yeah. Somebody videotaped it. Now they're asking, don't videotape.
Well, they've been doing that. They're coming and arresting us at home.
They need to. Like, who is it? The Chinese? You go protesting over there?
Yeah, good luck.
They spray you with ink.
Dye.
A dye, and
come get you later.
They come and get you later. Too bad we can't do it. But that would, I guess, that'd be against civil rights or something.
I don't know that it would be against civil rights. I mean, if they were not you couldn't do it on protest, but you could do it on riots.
What a shame. What a shame. They've turned this country into a shithole. The Democrats I'm talking about.
I mean, I think it would be fair because they do that in communist and Marxist countries, and Black Lives Matter is a communist Marxist trained group, which it doesn't say no more anymore, by the way. I did check that out. It doesn't say that anymore. So, I mean, seems kind of...
It's a domestic terrorist group, I think.
Well, yeah.
And we need to treat it as a domestic terrorist group. When you're walking the streets and you're terrorizing people, threatening them, you are a terrorist.
Well, that's how they're staying away from it, is because they are having... Well, we're having peaceful protests. Yes, you are. But as soon as it gets a little dark and as soon as it gets where nobody can see everybody, then you're not peaceful no more. But like, I agree with what you said.
But they're mostly peaceful.
I don't care about mostly. Once if you're holding a sign that says Black Lives Matter and you're busting in throwing a Molotov cocktail, guess what? And if Black Lives Matter is supporting that point and not
condemning
handling you themselves in-house, then they're just as responsible.
Well, hell yeah, they're responsible. They're big time. That and the Democratic run cities.
Mm-hmm.
They if you're I'd hate to own a business in them cities. Oh my God, to have your business that you've built up for 30 years, to have it burnt down, and then have the city come in and tear your building down.
I mean, if you think about it,
and send you the bill. Boy, that would really
that's
piss you off.
actually one of the biggest reasons I would vote for Trump this year. Only if nothing else. If nothing else happened, it would be because of that. Because as soon as Democrats get in there, the first thing they're going to do is going to pass a whole bunch of money to send to these states that are demolished from this, that they allowed to happen.
Yeah.
And I promise you that was the deal. Hey, don't worry. When we get in office, we'll send you money. Just handle it for now. We'll send you money later.
What a shame. What a shame.
So you can expect them taxes to go up.
Country into a shithole, a third world country. That's what we look like now, as a third world. I was watching live feeds last night, and it looks terrible. And they were just protesting last night, and it looked like I forget where, there was one that they were setting dumpsters on fire in the middle of the streets, trash cans, but it looked like a third world country, something that you would never think that would happen in your country, in the United States.
I wonder if a dumpster on fire is eco-friendly.
You know, if they're, why aren't these people being charged? That's arson.
Well,
That's
they're
arson
starting now too.
Oh, they didn't last night. They weren't locking them up. After it was on fire for a little bit, and then they'd come in there with fire extinguishers.
Because it's Black Lives Matter doing it. It's not politically correct, and they're the ones wanting them to do it. You got to remember, okay, before pandemic, Democrats had not a shot in hell of beating Trump. Not one. And they knew it. They even said it a couple of times. He had like an 80-something%. Everybody loved him. Pandemic went down a little bit. Now, when they noticed that the pandemic was going to go away, they knew they were going to have something. So as soon as something happened that they could jump on and feed, I mean, Soros gave $100 million to Black Lives Matter like the day after Floyd or something like that. All kinds of movie stars gave them. Now they're worth $1.6 billion.
Shame on you.
Matter of fact, the founder of the Atlanta chapter of Black Lives Matter is actually being investigated now and was arrested because he used his funds to buy his house and his car.
$200,000. I've seen that. What a piece of shit.
Hold on. He raised that money, and that's where they're getting them to, is he raised that money through donations there? Mm-hmm. I have a question. If he raised that money through Black Lives Matter donations there, but yet he didn't get any of the $1.6 billion that the three ladies have in their charity, kind of funny how that's working out. But yeah, $200,000. He bought a house and a car.
Buying votes. The Democrats, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And Democratic voters, you need to look at that. I know you have, the blinders on, just like most Republicans got them blinders on. They don't want to discuss anything. And if you do bring something up to the Democrats or the Republicans, they got that blinder on. They don't want to hear it. They've got that blinder on. Man, buying votes, that's sad. That's really sad. In a swing state, that's really, really sad. It's just unbelievable that he did that. I almost fell off my chair. You got anything left to add?
No.
I'm Doug.
Just go in person and vote.
Yeah, go in person, because
we'll get into ballots on the next show.
Make it count, because if you don't vote in person, you know it's not going to count. I'm Doug.
I'm Chris.
Give it a thumbs up if you like the video, and write a comment in the comments, and subscribe. We need them subscriptions. All right? We'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.